In today's class, we will discussing about election system. Okay. So in today's class, we will discuss about elections in India. Okay. What are the constitutional provisions? What are the other statutory provisions according to which election will be conducted in India at different level. Okay. So today we will discuss whole election procedure, whole election system, or whole election machineries of India, plus what are the electoral or election reforms which were introduced for in so and so year. That also we will discuss. Election part is very important. Okay, especially for the GS paper too. Okay, so if I talk about the election system in India, we know India is a democratic country. At a regular interval, elections will be held. In Parliament, we have studied that Parliament it is having two houses. One is Lok Sabha and one is Rajya Sabha. The tenure of the Lok Sabha is 5 years. The tenure of the Rajya Sabha is 6 years. That is their tenure. So after the completion of the tenure, again election. Right. So election will be conducted in India at regular interval. Right. Either election might be a general election or a by-election. Then what is the difference between general election and by-election? General election will be conducted after the completion of the tenure. After the completion of the tenure. Take an example. If Lok Sabha tenure is 5 years. Right. So once it is complete 5 years, okay, before completing of the elections will be held. So those elections are general elections. Then what is by-election? If election held before completion of the tenure, if election held before the completion of the tenure, those election is called by-election. I'll give another example. One MP is there. Okay, take an example. Bangalore MP. He was elected as a member of Parliament, Lok Sabha, from the Bangalore city. Okay, in the year 2021, 1st January. So his tenure is 5 years, right? So he will be MP till 5 years, till 2025, 31st December. But in the year 2023, he died. At that time, what will happen? Elections. Elections will be conducted before the completion of the tenure. Those elections are called by-elections. Now you understood the difference between general elections and by-elections. Okay, so in India, generally, general election will be conducted for every 5 years at state level as well as the central level, and by-election at any time. Whenever there is a requirement at that time, by-elections will be conducted. Okay, clear all of you? Then, sorry. Now, who will conduct the election? Who will conduct election? Okay, so at Parliament level and state level. At Parliament level, we have two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. State level also, some states are unicameralism. That means it is having only one house, that is Vidhan Sabha or Assembly. Some states are having bicameralism. That means they have two houses, Vidhan Sabha, Vidhan Parishad, Assembly or Council. Right. So there is a one body. The name of the body is ECI, Election Commission of India. Election Commission of India. Article 324 or Article 324 deals with Election Commission of India. Okay, that means ECI is a which body? Constitutional body. Okay. So Election Commission of India will conduct the election to the President, to Vice President, okay, member of Lok Sabha, member of Rajya Sabha, member of Legislature Assembly, MLA, member of Legislature Council, MLC. Okay, so for this 6 posts, Election Commission of India will conduct the election. For whom? President, Vice President, member of Lok Sabha, member of Rajya Sabha, right, MLA and MLC. Then what about the local election? We have that, ZPTC, MPTC, what you call corporators, right? For them, State Election Commission will conduct the election. So understood? So Election Commission of India will conduct the election for the post of 6 bodies. President, Vice President, okay, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, MLA, MLC. Understood? Everyone? Okay. Now composition. What is the composition of Election Commission of India? So in Constitution it is mentioned that, okay, Election Commission of India shall consist one commissioner or one chief commissioner. One chief commissioner or chief election commissioner. Chief election commissioner and as many as other election commissioner. As many as other election commissioner which will be determined by President from time to time. In simple language, ECI should consist one chief election commissioner. That is mandatory. Apart from that, other commissioner also it should be there, but not compulsory. If President decide, then other election commissioner also can be appointed. Understood? If there is a requirement, then only President can appoint the other election commissioner. Okay, election commissioner other than the chief election commissioner. How many election commissioner? President will only determine. Understood? So this is mentioned in the Constitution. Then at present, ECI it is having 3 members. One chief election commissioner and 2 election commissioner. Okay, one chief election commissioner and 2 election commissioner. This is the composition of present Election Commission of India. Okay, from 1952. Why? Because first time election was held in the year 1952. From 1952 till 1990, there was only one chief election commissioner. Election commissioner was not there. But what was happened, 61st Constitutional Amendment Act. 61st Constitutional Amendment Act. It has reduced the voting age. Earlier voting age was 21 years. But by 61st Constitutional Amendment Act, they reduced the voting age from 21 to 18 years. If they reduce the voting age from 21 to 18 years, so many members are eligible to vote. So workload increase. Getting the point? Workload increase. So in the year 1990, at that time President appointed 2 election commissioner along with the one chief election commissioner. Understood everyone? So at present what is the composition? 1 plus 2. One chief election commissioner and 2 election commissioner. Okay, so that is there. Then apart from that, if President required, if President determined that at a regional level also regional commissioner should be established, then President can establish. Regional commissioner means, ECI it is a pan-India level. Okay, but region we have the South region, East region, West region, Central region, Northeast region. So regions are there, right? If President determined, okay, at that time President has a power that he can appoint even the regional election commissioner at regional level. At regional level, President can do that one. So understood all of you? Any doubt? Doubt? So at present we don't have regional election commissioner. Okay, ECI consists only 3 members, 1 plus 3, one chief election commissioner and 2 election commissioner. Okay, so that is there. The next appointment. Who will appoint the commissioners? Chief election commissioner will be appointed by the President. Okay, then other election commissioners are there, right? That will also appointed by whom? President, after consultation with the chief election commissioner. Okay, election commissioner other than the chief election commissioner shall be appointed by whom? President, after consultation with the chief election commissioner. The next, regional election commissioner is there, right? So regional election commissioner also can be appointed by whom? President, after consultation with the chief election commissioner. Understood? So composition we have understood, right? And who will appoint? President. Constitutionally there is no such qualification. Constitutionally or in Constitution it is nowhere mentioned about the qualification of the either chief election commissioner or election commissioner or regional election commissioner also. No such qualification mentioned in Constitution of India. So normally President will give advice to the President. Sorry, Prime Minister will give advice to the President for the appointment of Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioner. Okay. The next, salary, tenure and how they can remove. Okay. So if I talk about the salary of the, either it is the Chief Election Commissioner or Election Commissioner. Okay. First of all, you know, though it is a Chief Election Commissioner, but it doesn't have any special power. Powers of the Election Commissioner and Chief Election Commissioner is equal. It is equal, that's all. If that person, particular person appointed as a Chief Election Commissioner, he doesn't have any special power. The power of Chief Election Commissioner is equal to the Election Commissioner only. Understood? So don't think that Chief Election Commissioner is more powerful than the Election Commissioner. No, powers are equally distributed among the Chief Election Commissioner as well as the Election Commissioner power. If there is any dispute arisen, at that time, you know, the decision can be made based upon the vote. 3 members are there, 2 is the majority. Based upon the vote, they can take the decision. If particular case came and Election Commission of India has to take a decision. Okay, and members are there, 3 members are there, someone said no, it should not be done, and some said it should be done. So dispute is there, right? So at that time, vote, majority vote. Understood? Powers are equal. Okay. Apart from that, their salary, the salary of the Chief Election Commissioner as well as the Election Commissioner. Okay. Their salary is equal to the Judge of Supreme Court. Their salary is equal to the Judge of Supreme Court. At present, the salary of the Judge of Supreme Court is 2.5 lakh. Okay, in the Supreme Court we have studied. Right. Either it is a Chief Election Commissioner or Election Commissioner, their salary is equal to the Judge of Supreme Court. Okay. Now next, tenure. Election Commissioner, the person who is having experience in public administration, okay, the person who is having experience in the election process, that person will be appointed as a Election Commissioner or Chief Election Commissioner. Okay. So what about the tenure? The tenure of Chief Election Commissioner, the tenure of Chief Election Commissioner or other member, it is 6 years. It is 6 years or 65 years, whichever is earlier. Either 6 years or 65 years, whichever is earlier. This concept we have already studied. Right? So the tenure of the Chief Election Commissioner or Election Commissioner is 6 years or 65 years, whichever is earlier. Now, constitutionally, Chief Election Commissioner tenure is there, right? That is secured or fixed. Okay, the tenure of the Chief Election Commissioner is 6 years. How many years? 6 years. Other member also 6 years. But the thing is that other member can be removed by the President. Other members, other election commissioners are there, right? They can be removed by the President after consultation with the Chief Election Commissioner. After consultation with Chief Election Commissioner, President has a power to remove the Election Commissioner. But what about the Chief Election Commissioner? Chief Election Commissioner is having a surety, okay, or security of 6 years of tenure. 6 years of tenure. Can he remove before the 6 years of tenure? Yes. He can remove by President. He can remove by President only, okay, after motion passed by the Parliament, or the Chief Election Commissioner shall be removed by the President on the same process and same ground as the removal of the Judge of Supreme Court. As the removal of Judge of Supreme Court. Same process, right? For CAG also same process. For Chief Election Commissioner also same process. For Judge of Supreme Court and Judge of High Court. Procedure is same. Removal procedure. Okay. Then can Chief Election Commissioner or Election Commissioner, can they resign? Yes. They can resign before the end of the tenure. Okay. They can resign by submitting their resignation letter to whom? President. Okay. So this is about the composition, salary or removal and tenure of the Chief Election Commissioner as well as the Election Commissioner. Now, what are the powers or function of Election Commission of India? Election Commission of India. What ECI do actually? Apart from conducting the election, what are the other things ECI do? Election Commission of India. So we will study one by one. Okay. What is that? Election Commission of India. What do you call this one? You know constituency? Particular whether it is a MLA is having constituency, territorial constituency, whether MP is having constituency, right? Who will decide that constituency? Delimitation Commission. There is one commission. Delimitation Commission will decide the constituency. Okay. So on those constituency only, Election Commission of India will conduct the election. Okay. Plus that constituency is there, the territorial constituency, that will be determined by the ECI. That will be determined by ECI, or in short, ECI, Election Commission of India, will help the delimitation commission for determining the territorial constituency. Understood? But reality, delimitation commission will determine. Who will help delimitation commission? ECI, Election Commission of India. Apart from that, okay, you know electoral rolls. Have you seen that before elections they will give you one slip. Under that slip, elector name will be there, right? Name, what do you call, father name, address, and address of the polling booth. Address of the polling booth. Those are called electoral rolls. Electoral rolls. So every day in India, lakhs of people, might be crores of people, they'll attain the age of 18 years. Don't you think so? Right. So one of the duty of the Election Commission of India is updating the electoral rolls. Updating electoral rolls on a periodically basis. Plus register all the eligible voters. For registration, after registration you will get voter ID. Once you attain the age of 18 years, then you need to get yourself registered as a voter. Right. You can't say that, you know, I have crossed 18 years of age, I have a right to vote, I will go to the polling booth and I will cast my vote. Such thing won't happen. Okay, once you attained the age of 18 years, you need to register yourself as a voter. Okay, who will register? Election Commission of India. Understood? So that is there. Apart from that, who will decide or schedule the election dates? Elections will be there, no? Right? Whether it is a by-election or whether it is a general election. Who will decide or who will determine the schedule of the elections? Election Commission of India. Election Commission of India, not Chief Election Commission. We are discussing about the power and function of Election Commission of India. And Election Commission of India consists 3 members. One is Chief Election Commission and 2 is Election Commission. Don't confuse yourself. Understood? We are discussing the power of Election Commissioner of India, not the Chief Election Commissioner. Okay? So, who will decide the date and who will schedule the elections across the country? Election Commission of India. Apart from that, based upon the result of elections, okay, Election Commission of India recognize political party as a state party or a national party. State party or national party. Okay, that we will discuss. What is the qualification to be recognized as a national party? What is the qualification to be recognized as a state party? Who will recognize that political party as a national party or a state party? Election Commission of India. Apart from that, okay, any dispute regarding the recognition of the party. Any dispute regarding the recognition of political party. Take an example, one party, okay, he is applying for the recognition as a state party, but condition is followed or not. Okay, party said that I am eligible. Election Commission of India says that no, you are not eligible. So dispute is there, right? So that dispute will also settled by Election Commission of India only. Plus symbols are there, na? Every political party, it is having one particular symbol, right? BJP, lotus, Congress, hand, right? So party symbol is there, right? Who allowed the symbol to the political party? Election Commission of India. Okay. Then next, apart from that, electoral management. Okay, take an example. Elections are going on. Elections will be managed by the Election Commission of India through various officers at various level. We will discuss. Whole election management will be there, right? That will be done by the Election Commission of India. While managing, any dispute arises, at that time that dispute will be sorted out by Election Commission of India. Okay. Then apart from that, after declaration of the election date. After declaration of the election date, okay, immediately code of conduct will be implemented. Code of conduct. Then what is the meaning of code of conduct? Okay, so generally that is, it is certain rules and regulations which political party candidate representative has to follow during the time of elections. See, declaration of election date plus polling date, there is a gap, right? So under that gap, okay, what the political parties do, campaigning they will do. Contest also do the campaigning. Their representative also do the campaigning. While doing that one, certain rules and regulations are there, which they need to follow. So those rules and regulations are nothing but model code of conduct. Model code of conduct. Who will determine that model code of conduct? Election Commission of India. Okay. Election Commission of India. Apart from that, at the time of elections. Nowadays you can see in the television also, right? You can see the advertisement of the BJP party. You can see the advertisement of the Congress party, right? Can you see? Even in social media also you can see the post of particular parties, BJP, Congress, Janata Dal United, others, right? So, what do you call? In that advertisement before elections, what the party will do, party will introduce the election manifesto. Plus, party will announce the policies also. Political parties are there, right? That political party will announce the policies also. Okay. That means, whatever the present government did, whatever the present government policies are there, right? So those policies will be broadcast or public, okay, or that policy will be broadcast publicly either through electronic media or the print media by Election Commission of India. Understood? Achhe din. That one, that is there. Apart from that, for disqualification of member of parliament, okay, Election Commission of India give advice to the president. Okay, for disqualification of MLA and MLC, Election Commission of India give advice to the governor. Understood? Disqualification of the MP, member of parliament, Election Commission of India give advice to president. Okay. Then for the disqualification of MLA or MLC, Election Commission of India give advice to governor. Why? Because MP removed by president, MLA or MLC removed by governor. Understood? So this is also function. Okay. Apart from that, if polling date, when the voter will cast their vote, so that is the polling date, right? So during polling day, what will happen? Now it is not happening. Earlier what is happening? Booth capturing. Booth capturing in movies also it is shown, right? Right. That goons will go to the polling booth. They'll take the that booth only along with them, right? So those cases. Okay, so if there is a case of the what you call booth capturing, okay, apart from that, what you call this one, violence near the polling station, at that time Election Commission of India will cancel the election. ECI will cancel the election. Okay, that is there. Apart from that, Election Commission of India to conduct the election at a different level, at that time it require staff. It require staff. Okay, so Election Commission of India, they have a power either to request the president or the governor for the necessary requirement of the staff. If they simple, if Election Commission of India require a staff, okay, so they will request the president to provide the staff. So Election Commission of India will request the governor to provide the staff. That is their function. Okay, then apart from that, okay, throughout the country, free and fair election should be there or not. That will be scrutinized or monitored by Election Commission of India. Election is free only, right? Voting, casting vote and all those, voter card is free, electoral roll is free. Okay, that is a free. Fair election means everyone has a chance, right to vote and contest in election also as a candidate, right? So in India, constitutionally it is mentioned that we have free and fair election. But free and fair election, it is implementing or not throughout the country, that will be scrutinized or monitored by whom? Election Commission of India. Okay. Then next, we have studied emergency. Three types of emergency. Presidential emergency, national emergency, then state or presidential emergency or constitutional emergency, finance emergency. Then whenever, if there is a president rule introduced in the state, or constitutional emergency introduced in the state, at that time whether election should be conducted or not, at that time ECI will give advice to the president. In that matter, if take an example, Karnataka. In Karnataka, president rule introduced, implemented, right? At that time, president will ask to the Election Commission of India whether election can be conducted in Karnataka or not. At that time, Election Commission of India will give advice to the president whether election can be conducted or not. Understood? That is also one of the function of Election Commission of India. And this I already discussed, that Election Commission of India will also recognize the political party as a state party or a national party based upon the performance of their party in elections. Based upon the performance of those parties in elections. Understood everyone? So this is about the power and function of Election Commission of India. These are the things Election Commission of India do. Apart from conducting the election, to whom Election Commission of India conduct the election? President, Vice President,
Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, MLC, MLA.
Okay. At local level, State Election Commission. Okay. Now, election system. Who conduct the election? Who will decide the election date? Election Commission of India. Right. Now, how elections? What is the election machinery in India? At a level, what is the election machinery in India? Okay. So, state level, there is a Chief Electoral Officer. Who? Chief Electoral Officer. What is the state level? Okay. State level of the MP or MLA seat, it is at state level only, right? Country level we don't have, right? State level only we have. So, at state level, okay, so Election Commission of India will appoint one officer. Okay, what is the designation of that officer? Chief Electoral Officer. What is the duty of that officer? The duty of that Chief Electoral Officer is to monitor the election within the state. Monitor the election within the state. And who will supervise the CEO? ECI. Election Commission of India will supervise the Chief Election Commissioner. Who will appoint the Chief Election Commissioner? Election Commission of India. Election Commission of India. Who is the Chief Election Commissioner? Either the employee of the central government or either the employee of the state government. Okay. So if Chief Election Commissioner is a central government employee, at that time Election Commission of India will take the permission of the central government. After permission, that person appointed as a CEO. If Chief Election Commissioner is a state government employee, at that time Election Commission of India will take the permission of the state government. Understood? Okay, who supervise? Election Commission of India. Who monitor the election process at state level? Chief Election Commissioner. Okay, CEO, Chief Election Commissioner. And below state level we have district. Below state level we have district. Don't you think so? Right. So district level we have DO, District Election Officer. Chief Electoral Officer. Okay. Chief Electoral Officer will be appointed by the Election Commission of India. Okay. To monitor the election at state level. To monitor the election at state level. At state level, elections are going on in a proper way or not. That will be monitored by and supervised by Chief Election Commissioner. Who will appoint? Election Commission of India. Who will supervise? Election Commission of India. Supervise. Who will supervise CEO? Election Commission of India. Till here you understood? The next, who can be the CEO? Who can be the CEO? Government employee. Either a central government or a state government. If central government employee appointed as a CEO at that time, Election Commission of India take the permission of the central government. If CEO is a state government employee, then Election Commission of India will take the permission of the state government. Understood? Government employee only appointed as a CEO. This is not a permanent job. Temporary. CEO it is for temporary purpose. Till the completion of the elections. Okay, and they are government employee only. Understood? So this is CEO, state level. The district level we have DEO, District Election Officer. District Election Officer. Who will appoint the District Election Officer? Election Commission of India. Okay. Who will appoint the District Election Officer? Election Commission of India. What is the duty of this DEO? To monitor the election process at district level. To monitor the election process at district level. Who will appoint? ECI. Please remember. Who will appoint? ECI. What is the duty? To look after or monitor the election process at district level. That is the duty. Who can be the district collector? Government employee. Either a central government or a state government. Then returning officer. Very important. Returning officer. Returning officer. So who is that returning officer? First state level we have CEO. District level we have DEO. Then below district we have constituencies. Constituencies, right? MLA constituency, MLC constituency, or Lok Sabha constituency, or Rajya Sabha constituency is there, right? So for every territorial constituency level, okay, Election Commission of India will appoint one officer. Election Commission of India will appoint one officer. That is returning officer. Very important officer. Okay, returning officer, RO. So RO is at constituency level. CEO, state level. DEO, district level. RO, constituency level. Understood? So at a particular constituency, right? So RO will take care of the election procedure. Constituency is there, the MLA constituency, MP constituency. This is a Bangalore rural. Take an example. This is one of the constituency. For this constituency, RO will be appointed by the Election Commission of India. Under this constituency, whoever the political candidates are there, right? They need to file the nomination and submit that nomination paper to RO. Understood? So RO will take care of the election at constituency level. Understood? And who will appoint RO? Election Commission of India. It is the RO who declare the result of the election also. At constituency level, we know the this constituency, this party member candidate won. This constituency, this party candidate won, right? Who will declare the result of the elections at constituency level? RO or returning officer. Okay. Then below returning officer, we have presiding officer. Who is presiding officer? Polling officer. Constituency level, first state level CEO, district level DO, constituency level RO. So under the constituency also, lot of polling booths are there, right? So at booth level, presiding officer. At booth level, we have presiding officer. So presiding officer will monitor the election at booth level. Elections booths are there, no? So there is a possibility that one constituency, multiple booths are there. Right. So this presiding officer along with the polling officer, presiding officer along with the polling officer will look after the election at booth level. Now understood everyone? Simple. This is state level. This is district level. This is booth level. Understood? Understood everyone? So these are the officer at different level. Now next the question is, who will appoint presiding officer? In case of state, DEO, district election officer will appoint the presiding officer. In case of state, and in case of union territory does not have district, right? If that doesn't have district means this officer won't be available, right? So in case of union territory, RO will appoint the presiding officer. RO or returning officer will appoint the presiding officer. Rest all ECI. Understood everyone? Right. So these are the different officer at different level. State level, district level, constituency level, booth level. Now we have already studied about the electoral rolls. You know electoral rolls. What is electoral rolls? All those things. So during election time, Election Commission of India also appoint the electoral registration officer. Electoral registration officer. Who will appoint? ECI, Election Commission of India. What he do? He upgrade the electoral rolls. He upgrade the electoral rolls. Though you have voter ID, but your name is not there in the electoral list. At that time, approach this officer. This officer will upgrade the list. Understood? So that is the duty of ERO. Then observer. Observers are there, different observer. Okay. So general observer means this observer first of all appointed by the ECI. Who? ECI, Election Commission of India. Okay. All are government employee and temporary. Okay. Who will appoint the observers? Election Commission of India. Who will supervise the observers? Election Commission of India. Who will appoint? ECI. Who will supervise? ECI. Understood? Now we will study individual duties of these observers. Okay. General observer. General observer means that general observer will observe each and everything. Okay. Each and everything. Whether model code of conduct is following properly or not. Understood? Whether those candidate or political party, they are following the rules and regulations or not. Any dispute is there, any violence has created. Understood? That will be observed by the general observer. Okay. Apart from general observer, expenditure observer. Expenditure observer. At constituency level, expenditure is fixed. During elections, you know, candidates are there. They will incur expenditure, right? What you call office they will open, flags, certain people they, you know, employ for promotion, right? Or for what you call this one, awareness about the candidature. That is there, no? And some people they distribute gifts also. But gift doesn't come under model code of conduct. Reality they will do different things. But you know, they will incur expenditure or not. पैसा खर्च करते हैं क्या नहीं? So for every constituency level, limitation is there. Limitation is there. So that limitation will check by the expenditure observer, whether the expenditure is up to limitation or not, or whether it is unnecessary expenditure or there or not. That will be observed by whom? Expenditure observer, police observer. Police observer will be appointed only in the rare cases where there is a chances of high violence in that constituency. Chhattisgarh, Naxalites, Naxal places are there. Their police is required, don't you think so? Otherwise, Naxal people will damage or they blast the booth also. They can do, right? So in that area, high alert area where they require a high level security, in those constituency or in those booth level only, Election Commission of India will appoint the police observer. Okay, and who is police observer? IPS cadre. IPS cadre will be the police observer. Okay, the next awareness observer. In the year 2014, that was the first time Election Commission of India has appointed the awareness observer. Awareness observer means that observer is there, right? Will spread the awareness about the vote value. Vote value, he will encourage the people to vote. If you observe before 2014, hardly people vote. But after 2014, with the influence of the social media, they are voting, taking a picture, putting on social media. Right, voting percentage increase. People got to know the value of their vote. Awareness is there. No? So that awareness was spread by which observer? Awareness observer. Understood? So who will appoint these observers? Election Commission of India. Who will supervise this observer? Election Commission of India. Understood? Everyone. So this is election system or election missionaries. Then what is the election process? What is the election process? Who conduct the election? Election Commission of India. How they conducted? State level this officer, district level this officer, constituency level this officer, polling level this officer. Then these are the observer. Apart from that, what is the election procedure? Process. What is the election process? That we will discuss. Time of election. Right. Whether it is for Lok Sabha every 5 years, for Rajya Sabha every 2 years. Forget. For every 2 years, 1/3 member of the Rajya Sabha will retire, 1/3 of the Rajya Sabha member will be elected. Right? Tenure is 6 years, but election will be conducted for every 2 years. Okay, 1/3 of the, for every 2 years, 1/3 member of the Rajya Sabha will retire and 1/3 member of the Rajya Sabha will be elected. Okay, so if I tell you about the time when the election can be conducted at Lok Sabha means, first of all, the tenure of the Lok Sabha is 5 years. Okay, but Lok Sabha is subjected to dissolution. Any party which form majority, then that party can continue in the Lok Sabha for 5 years. Before the ending of the 5 years period, Election Commission of India has to conduct the election. Election Commission of India has to conduct the election. Okay, that means last session of Lok Sabha and newly elected session of Lok Sabha, the gap between the last session and new session should not be more than 6 months. Should not be more than 6 months. Understood? So, Election Commission of India will conduct the Lok Sabha election before the completion of 5 years only. But if Lok Sabha dissolve within after 2 years or 3 years, at that time also Election Commission of India will conduct the by-elections. By-elections for Lok Sabha. For Rajya Sabha, every 2 years, not 6 years. Okay, tenure of the member is 6 years. But for election of Rajya Sabha, for every 2 years. For every 2 years, okay. Then Assembly and Council. Council is same like a Rajya Sabha. The tenure of the MLC is 6 years. For after every 2 years, they will 1/3 will retire and 1/3 will be elected. Assembly equal to the Lok Sabha. The tenure of the assembly is 5 years. So before completion of the 5 years, so the Election Commission of India will conduct the election. And the gap between the last session of the assembly and first session of the new assembly should not be more than 6 months. Okay, that is there. But if assembly dissolved, then Election Commission of India will conduct the by-elections. Okay, yeah, within 6 months. Then schedule of elections. Schedule of elections. That means who will decide the date and time of the election? Election Commission of India. Election Commission of India. On press conference, Election Commission of India will determine the, or what do you call, reveal the schedule of the elections. Schedule of election. At India level, we have a huge voters and we have huge constituency. So it is not possible for Election Commission of India to conduct the election within a 1 day. Within 1 day it is not possible. Right? Why? Because it required a lot of force, government employees. Right? So that is the reason why Election Commission of India will conduct the election in a phased manner. In a phased manner. Karnataka is there. HK region is there, 1 date. Southern region is there, another date. Coastal Kannada is there, another date. Understood? So in the phased manner, Election Commission of India will conduct the elections. Okay, why? Because of geographical, what do you call this one? Mass geographical area plus population. India is having the highest number of voters in the world. Highest number of voters it is in India only. Okay, so schedule. Once in press conference, Election Commission of India declare the election date. Okay, then what will happen? Political party candidates are there, right? They will start filing the nomination. They will start filing the nomination at constituency level. Which level? Constituency level. And who is the officer at constituency level? RO, returning officer, right? So returning officer is the officer at constituency level. So once Election Commission of India announce the election date, okay, the day on which Election Commission of India announced, from that day onwards only, Model Code of Conduct will be applicable. Model Code of Conduct.
When they start...
the day on which they announce. If today they announce that after 30 days election will be there. Okay, today announce, from today onwards, Model Code of Conduct will be applicable. Today onwards only. Right? So that gap will be there now. After announcement and before the actual polling date, gap will be there. In that gap, okay, candidates, political party candidates or independent candidates are there, right? They need to file the nomination. They need to file what? Nomination. Okay. So to whom the candidate has to submit the nomination? RO, returning officer. Submit the nomination. They can withdraw the nomination also. 2 days before the closing date. Nomination starting date will start and closing date will also be declared. Okay. So candidate can file the nomination, can withdraw the nomination also 48 hours before the closing date. Okay. Plus RO officer, returning officer is there, right? Returning officer has a power even to cancel the nomination also. Even to cancel the nomination. RO is having that power. Any dispute is there, any issue is there. At that time, RO is having a power, it can cancel the nomination also. So once nomination filed, it can be cancelled or it can be withdrawn. Understood? Who can cancel? RO. Who can withdraw? Candidate. Okay, anyway, once, what do you call? Nomination has been filed. Once nomination has been filed. Okay. So what RO will do? RO will make a list and scrutinize each and every candidate, their political party, candidate political party. After scrutinizing, RO will issue the list. RO will issue the list. That is, from this constituency, this is the name of the candidate and this candidate belongs to this party. This is the name of the candidate, this party is independent. Like that. That list will be released by whom? RO, returning officer. Okay, then after that, campaigning will start. Political campaigning, you know, right?
Yes, sir.
Right, campaigning. So after that, what will happen? Campaigning will start. So candidate can do the election campaigning. Okay, but election campaigning has to end by the political party 48 hours before polling date. Okay, campaigning will be stop 48 hours before polling date. Okay, 48 hours before polling date. Polling date, campaigning has to stop. Got it? So during campaigning, they can incur expenditure and all those things. Okay, so if I talk about the campaigning, there is a one concept called star campaigner. Star campaigner. Star campaigner means during election time, during election campaigning, particular candidate will call the Bollywood celebrity, Tollywood celebrity, hero. They will call, right? Or famous personality they will call. Those are star campaigner. Those are star campaigner. Understood? Independent candidate, he doesn't have any star campaigner. But for political party, the political party which is recognized as a state party or national party, for them the campaigning star might be 40. They can get a campaigning star campaigner up to 40. But a political party which is registered but not recognized, which is registered and not recognized, okay, that party they have it up to 20 star campaigner. Up to 20 star campaigner. Then what is the use of introduction of the star campaigner? Whatever the election expenditure has been done by the candidate during that star campaigning, that expenditure will not count in the election expenditure. That expenditure will not count in the election expenditure of the candidate. That is excluded. That is the advantage. Understood? So that is star campaigner. Nowadays it is in use. Star campaigner. Okay, especially BJP is using a lot. Star campaigner. Got it, everyone? So during campaigning also, star campaigner also came for recognized party 40, for registered party 20. And what is the benefit? The expenditure of the star campaigner will be excluded from the election expenditure. Understood? So this is still campaigning. So once campaigning finish, polling. Okay, polling date. So on the day of polling, the voter has to go to the polling station and cast their vote. The voter has to go to the polling station and cast their vote. Before 1998, there was a ballot paper system.
Sir, sounds good, sir.
Okay, before 1998, there was a ballot system. Ballot system is one ballot paper will be given, one set name of the candidate, another set name symbol of the political party of that candidate that were given. Okay, so people used to make a stamp on the symbol of that candidate and fold the paper and put it in the drop box. That was a ballot paper system. Now also it is there in India, yes. Now also it is there in India, but for certain class. We will discuss. Okay, but in the year 1998, EVM was introduced. EVM, electronic voting machine. Electronic voting machine was introduced. Okay, which year? 1998. Now also we have EVM, electronic voting machine. This is at mass level. This is at mass level. Okay, electronic voting machine. Again in the year 2013, okay, VVPAT has introduced. VVPAT has introduced. Okay, so what is that VVPAT? Voters, okay, verifiable paper audit trail. Voters verifiable paper audit trail. So what is that? VVPAT. Once you cast your vote in the electronic machine, so just before electronic machine, one box will be there. That box is having the paper. So once you cast your vote, then it will be printed on the paper that to whom you cast your vote. what is the venue, what is the time, what is the day, and to which party you candidate your, you cast your vote. That will be mentioned in that paper. That paper, it is called VVPAT. Understood? So that was introduced in the year 2013. Then in the last Lok Sabha election, 2019 or 17th Lok Sabha election, Supreme Court ruled that VVPAT should be introduced in all polling booths across the country. VVPAT should be introduced in all polling booths across the country. So it was introduced. So if you, at any time if you want to cast your vote, when you get an opportunity, check. Once you cast your vote, just before that EVM machine, one small box will be there. That paper will not give to you. It will be the future reference. If any dispute is there in the counting, at that time they will check. At that time they will check. Understood? So that is VVPAT machine. Understood all of you? So that is VVPAT. Chance of? How it can be? Why? Because they have used the burn software. Understood? Not online software. If online software, hacking is there. But EVM machines are burn software. Inbuilt software. So not possible here. Understood? If it is the online software will be there, internet will be connected. Okay, so hacking can be there. But that is the inbuilt software which is burn software. So not possible. Politicians will tell, but engineer will tell it is not possible. Understood? The next, you are asking something? Okay. The next, NOTA. NOTA. This NOTA system was introduced by the Supreme Court. NOTA, very important. NOTA. NOTA means none of the above. None of the above. Who introduced that system? Supreme Court. What is that system? Okay. If voter doesn't want to vote any candidate, then he can vote to NOTA. He can vote to NOTA. If he doesn't want to vote any candidate, that now in India we have a right to rejection also. We can reject the candidate by casting our vote to NOTA. NOTA option is also available. If you doesn't like the candidate, their work, just cast your vote to NOTA. That option we have. But what is the use? Okay. Take an example. First of all, NOTA vote will not be count. NOTA vote will not be count. Okay. So here, take an example. Total 100 votes are there. 100 votes. Out of those 100 votes, 30 votes are NOTA. 30 votes are NOTA. So that 30 will put aside. How much left? 70. Out of 70, who got the majority? That candidate will be declared as a winner. That candidate will be declared as winner. Understood? So this is NOTA. NOTA vote won't be count. Either in the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Before 2018, it was applicable at Lok Sabha and Assembly level. But after 2018, it is applicable at Parliament and state level both. Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, plus Assembly and Council. Assembly as well as the Council. Okay. Before 2018, only Assembly in Lok Sabha. But after 2018, it is also applicable to Rajya Sabha as well as the Council. Understood? And please remember, NOTA vote will not be counted. If total are 100 vote, out of 100 vote, 90 vote are NOTA. Then 10 left, right? Under that 10, who got the majority? That candidate will be winner. Understood? That is NOTA system. Shreya ma'am, what happened? You are understanding? Okay. So this is about the NOTA system. And how the winner will be declared? Winner will be declared based upon the first past the post. That system it is called first past the post. What is that system? First past the post. Okay. Listen. Total 100 votes. Out of 100 vote, one got 40, one got 30, one got 20 and one got 10. Who got highest vote? 40. 40 will be the winner. Who got the highest vote? 40 will be the winner. That system it is called first past the post. Quota system means president election. Remember, 50% plus 1. Proportional representation by single transferable vote, and every candidate must secure the quota. 50% of the total vote divided by 1 plus 1 plus whole plus 1. That is the quota system. In that quota system, the candidate must get 50% or more than 50%. But in first past the post system, no need to worry about 50%. That candidate who got highest vote, whether it is less than 50% or more than 50%, the candidate will be declared as the winner.
Sir, there won't be any minimum seats.
Huh?
Minimum seats.
Minimum seats.
To form a party, there will be minimum seats, right?
Form a party minimum. No, there is no such thing. Pawan Kalyan, he started his party. What is the name of that party? Jana Sena. When he start, he doesn't have any seat. Not MLA, not MP.
One is having, sir.
Not now. When he start the party.
Not to form party,
Huh.
to form a government.
That is there. We already studied here. Parliament, Lok Sabha, Assembly we have studied there. Majority required. Manjunath, in Parliament we have studied, right? To form a government in Lok Sabha, a party must secure the majority of the seat. What is that majority in Lok Sabha? 273. Assembly also, total number of assembly seat divided by 2 plus 1.
Sir, just now you told an example, right, sir? There will be 100 people, among 190 will vote to no.
I didn't say seat, 90 seat. I said vote. If they, in particular constituency, if there are total 100 votes, out of those 100 votes, 90 are vota. Rest 10 vote is there, right? Out of this rest 10 vote, who got highest number of vote? That candidate will be declared as a winner. Seat you are talking, but I am talking about the vote here. Understood? Okay. So hope everyone understood about Nota system. Understood everyone? What is Nota system? None of the above. Who introduced? Supreme Court has introduced this system. Then next, regarding the elections. Regarding the elections, how to conduct the elections, what are the officer has to be appointed, all those things it is not mentioned in Constitution. It is not mentioned in Constitution. Then where it is mentioned? If it is not there mentioned in Constitution, then where it is mentioned? It is mentioned in Act. Representation of the People Act 1950, Representation of the People Act 1951. Understood? Representation of People Act 1950 and 51 both. First we will study 1950. Allocation of seat is there, no? Allocation, this state, this much seat, this state, that much seat. Okay, Karnataka is there. For Karnataka, this much is the MP seat, this much is the MLA seat, this much is the MLC seat. Okay, that will be determined according to this act. Allocate. The seats will be allocated to the state based upon this act, RP Act 1950. Then delimitation of constituency. You know, territorial constituency is there, limiting the territorial constituency or determining the territorial constituency, right? So that determination of territorial constituency is there, right? That is mentioned in RP Act 1950. Apart from that, officers are there, na? Election officer, district election, what do you call, RO is there, presiding officer is there, right? So appointment of those officers, their work, what they can do, what they can't do, all those things are mentioned in RP Act 1950. Okay. Apart from that, electoral rolls. You know electoral rolls, those one. So regarding the electoral rolls, who will prepare the electoral rolls, what is the procedure, all those things it is mentioned in RP Act 1950. Four things are mentioned in RP Act 1950. Allocation of seat, delimitation of the constituency, then appointment of the officers, various officers. Then next what? Electoral rolls. Understood? And rest all other things which we discussed, filing the nomination, voting procedure, nota, what do you call, EVM, VVPAT, model code of conduct, all the things, except this thing, all the things which are related to the elections. That is mentioned in RP Act 1951. That is mentioned in which act? RP Act 1951. Okay. So Delimitation Commission. Okay. So who will decide the territorial constituency? There is a one commission called Delimitation Commission. Okay. So the Delimitation Commission will be established by the central government. By whom? Central government, based upon the act. What is the act? Delimitation Commission Act. Okay. So you know territorial constituency area, na ML area, MP area, that is territorial constituency. Who will determine the territorial constituency? Delimitation Commission. How Delimitation Commission came? Central government established. How central government established? Based upon the act. What is the name of that act? Delimitation Commission Act. Okay. So till now 4 Delimitation Commission Act has been established. How many? 4 Delimitation Commission has been established. 4. Okay. 1952, 63, 72, then last it was 2002. Now also it is running. So based upon the Delimitation Commission Act 2002, central government will establish the Delimitation Commission for every 3 years. Delimitation Commission for every 3 years. This is in current affair. Why? Because recently central government established Delimitation Commission for Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Okay. So who will establish? Central government. For how many years? 3 years. How many members are there? 3 members. 3 members. Who are there? Chairman and 2 members. Chairman and 2 members. Who can be the chairman? Either a current judge or retired judge of Supreme Court. Either a current judge or retired judge of Supreme Court. Or second person, either Chief Election Commissioner or Election Commissioner, which will be decided by the Election Commission of India. Right. Either a Chief Election Commissioner or Election Commissioner. That is the second person. Third, State Election Commissioner. State Election Commissioner of that state. For example, in Karnataka, if they are deciding the MLA seat or MP seat, this commission, then the Karnataka State Election Commission is there, right? So that will be the ex officio member. Understood? So 3 members are there, including chairman. Chairman, either a current judge or a retired judge, or serving judge or a retired judge of Supreme Court. Second, either Chief Election Commissioner or Election Commissioner, decided by the Election Commission of India. Third, State Election Commissioner is the ex officio member. Ex officio member. So this is the composition of Delimitation Commission. Okay. And another important thing, whatever the decision, okay, taken by the Delimitation Commission for the determination of the constituency, okay, case against the determination of constituency cannot be filed in any court. Either it is a Supreme Court, either it is a High Court, or either it is a District Court. In simple language, if Delimitation Commission has decided one constituency, this is the area of this constituency, understood, then case cannot be filed against the decision. Okay, understood? This point we have discussed in Panchayat Raj elections, right? That case cannot be filed against the delimitation of constituency.
If they ask again to make it, they will.
Again they can do. If government has to do, again they can reconstitute the delimitation from time to time. Okay. So this is about Delimitation Commission. Understood everyone? So till now in election system of India, we have studied about one body which conduct the election, Election Commission of India. We studied about its composition, how many members, who will appoint, salary, right, tenure, and the power of the Election Commission of India. Then we have studied about the election machineries, officers, CEO, DEO, RO, what do you call, presiding officer, right? electoral, registration officers, observers we have studied. Then election process we have studied. How election process will start, how it will end. Right? Then in which act it is mentioned that we have studied? RP Act 1950, RP Act 1951. Okay. Now in India, from time to time, whenever there is a requirement, at that time, reform took place. Reforms took place. Those reforms are popularly called electoral reforms. Those reforms were popularly called electoral reforms. These are very important for GS paper 2, governance. Okay, electoral reforms. So what is that? Lowering of age. Before 1989, voting age was 21. But in the year 1989, voting age was reduced from 21 years to 18 years. By which act? First Constitutional Amendment Act. 61st Constitutional Amendment Act. Understood? So before 1990, voting age was 21. After 1990, voting age was 18. Now also it is 18. So that reforms took place. Apart from that, increase the number of proposers. What is the meaning of that? Increase the number of proposers. Candidates are there, right? They can file the nomination. For filing the nomination, they require the support of electors. Who are the elector? The person who is eligible to vote. Who are elector? The person who is eligible to vote. In India, a person is eligible to vote once a person crosses the age of 18 years. Plus, Parliament permit him to vote. If a person is a bad, unsound mind, that person is not eligible for vote. Okay. If a person is in jail, then that person is not eligible to vote. If a person is in jail, he can contest the election. That is there. He can contest. Means he can contest the election as a MLA MP. That is there in India. But he can't vote. Understood? That person can't vote. So don't think that once a person crosses the age of 18 years, he is eligible to vote. No, restrictions are also there. Person who is unsound mind, that person is not eligible. Okay? And the person who is detained or in police custody, that person is also not eligible to vote. So who are elected? A person who is eligible to vote. Those are electors. Okay. So while filing the nomination, first I'll discuss at state level. At state level we have MLA and MLC. MLA and MLC. First I'll discuss MLA. This is the constituency of MLA. Okay. And someone is filing the nomination. To filing the nomination, one elector who belongs to this constituency should support that candidate for filing the nomination. Understood? One elector should support. Remember, President, 50 electors as proposers, 50 electors as seconders. Support required, right? In the same way, for MLA, that contesting of MLA seat, if that candidate belongs to recognized party, then only one elector. One elector. If candidate belongs to unrecognized party, 10 electors. 10 electors. Understood, or you want me to explain once again? Okay, simple. Take an example. I'll give an example. Our principals. He is from Muthugada Haldi, and you all are an elector of Muthugada Haldi, and he belongs to what you call BJP party. BJP party is a recognized party, national party it is. Okay, he is filing the nomination. In that case, he got the ticket of recognized party, right? MLA ticket, right? At that time, okay, he required a support of one elector. Only one elector. Even Meghna also can support. She is local only, right? One elector. But if principal got the ticket of the unrecognized party, okay, unrecognized must register. All the party has to register. Unrecognized. At that time, principal required 10 elected support. Now understood? Everyone? Yes, right. That is for MLA. Sheban, understood? That is for MLA. Same in case of Lok Sabha also. Same in case of Lok Sabha. MLA and Lok Sabha same. If that candidate is from the recognized party, 1 elector. If candidate is from unrecognized party, 10 electors. Okay, now Rajya Sabha and Council. Rajya Sabha and Council. Okay, take an example, Karnataka. Karnataka. Okay, in Karnataka, total number of MLCs are 40. Total number of MLCs are 40. Our principle is contesting the election. MLC election. MLC election from any party. From any party. At that time, he required the proposers, support of the electors. How many? Now listen carefully. Either the 10% of the total number of seat, 10% of the total number of council seat. Either the 10 people, whichever is less. Whichever is less. Don't worry, I'll explain. Take an example. In the Karnataka MLC, they have 40 MLC seat. What is the 10% of 40? 4 yaar. What is the 10% of 40? 4. Understood? Now listen. Our principle is participating in the contesting the election from the MLC seat or Rajya Sabha also. Or sorry, MLC, take a MLC only. Okay. At that time, to file the nomination, he required 4 electors. 4 electors. This is the one condition. Another, take an example that total number of seat in MLC, Karnataka MLC is 200. How much? 200. So what is the 10% of 200? 20. Are you sure? At that time, 20 electors should not be what you call support. At that time, 10 members should support. Whichever is less. Either the 10% or a 10 person or 10 electors. Whichever is less. Now understood? Shreya? Okay. So this is for MLC. Same it is applicable to Rajya Sabha also. Same it is applicable to Rajya Sabha. Got it? So that is the number of proposers. Okay. For filing the nomination either for the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, MLA or MLC. What about local level? State will decide. Remember, we have studied. State will determine. Now next, EVM. So before 1998, there was a ballot paper system. After 1998, electronic voting machine introduced. That was only. Then booth capturing. Booth capturing. Okay. So before 1996, if there was a booth capturing, election will be continued. But after 1996, reform was made. So after 1996, okay, if there is a case of booth capturing, election will be cancelled. Election will be cancelled. Again, fresh election will be conducted. Understood?
Sir, only in that area, sir.
In that area only. So that is the one. And that listing of name of candidate. So after 1996, what was happened? Okay. They have introduced a new system in the EVM machine. Means name of the candidate, symbol of the candidate party, okay, plus status, whether that candidate belongs to recognized party, unrecognized party or independent. That listing has done. Okay, name of the candidate, symbol of the candidate party, plus that candidate belongs to either recognized party, unrecognized party or independent. So that listing has introduced. Then apart from that, disqualification for insulting under National Honor Act. There is a one act. There is a one act, that is National Honor Act 1971. What is the name of that act? National Honor Act 1971. According to that act, okay, MLA, MLC or MP, okay, if they shows disrespect towards the constitution, towards the national flag, towards the national anthem, they will be disqualified. If they shows disrespect towards the constitution, flag and national anthem, they will be disqualified. Okay. The next, prohibition of sale of liquor. So once polling date has been decided, okay, polling date has been decided, So in that area, liquor cannot be sold. In that area, liquor cannot be sold for 48 hours. After that, they can sell. After that, they can sell. So within that 48 hours, liquor cannot be sold in that particular area. The next, death of the candidate. Okay, take an example. Earlier it was happening more. So if a candidate filed a nomination, this is a particular constituency. Okay. So many people filed a nomination. One candidate from the Congress party, he files a nomination. After filing the nomination, campaigning will be there. Na? During campaigning, he died. Possibility, right? During campaigning, he died. Okay. At that time, what will happen? Okay. Before 1936, again fresh date, fresh nomination, fresh procedure was there. But after 1996, what was happened? Even if the candidate who filed the nomination and the candidate died before the election, at that time party will appoint another person on behalf of that candidate. Election will not be cancelled, election will be continued. Okay. Individual means no problem. Continue. Okay. Then time limit for by-elections. Time limit for by-election. We have studied when by-election can be conducted. Okay, so whenever there is a vacancy occurred, at that time election has to be conducted within the 6 months of that vacancy occurred. Take an example. On 1st January 2021, vacancy was there in this MLA seat. So it is the duty of the Election Commission of India to conduct the election 6 months before that 1st Jan. That means before 1st July 2021, Election Commission of India has to conduct the election. If remaining period is less than 1 year, no need to conduct the election. If remaining period is less than 1 year, then no need to conduct the election. I'll give an example. One MLA elected in the year 2021, 1st Jan, 5 years. So he will be MLA till 31st December 2025. Then in the month of April 2025, he died. And the remaining period is there, right? That is only for 8 months. That is less than 1 year. Na? At that time, no need to conduct the by-election. Conduct fresh election. Conduct fresh election. Understood? So that changes was brought. Then next. Earlier, these reforms are very important. Okay. Earlier, a candidate are there, right? He can contest the election from M number of constituency. N number of constituency. But after 1996, it is restricted to only 2 constituency. Okay, our principal sir is there. He can contest the election from Muthugada, this constituency, Atinagar constituency. Only 2. Earlier, N number. But now only 2. Okay. The next, voting through postal ballot. Special class. Who? Special class. Special class. Who will decide that special class? ECI. ECI. If there is a government employee, right? Take an example. Any one person here who stays in Muthugada Haldi, he is a government employee, right? But he posted in the another area. Take an example like Bidar. But here elections are going on. And that person is in Bidar, government employee. At that time, he can cast his or her vote through postal ballot. Through postal ballot. But please remember, postal ballot is not for everyone. Not for everyone. That is for a class of people. Who are those people that will be decided by the Election Commission of India? Not you or me. Not even that person also. Understood? So in India, we can give vote through EVM, through postal ballot also. Got it? Then apart from that, declaration of assets, criminals. So what is that, While filing the nomination, the candidate has to declare. The candidate has to declare the asset of the candidate and spouse asset. Spouse asset and dependent asset. Candidate, father is a candidate. So that candidate, father has to declare the asset or any liability. Then father, wife has to declare the asset and liability. Plus father, children are there, right? Dependent. they also has to declare their asset or liability while filing the nomination. First thing. Second thing, that candidate is the right, he also has to declare that any case is pending against him or not. Any case is pending against, whether it is a criminal case or a civil case, or any case is pending or not against him. Second thing. Third, does any case pending against him in which punishment is 2 years or more than 2 years? Punishment is 2 years or more than 2 years. That also he need to mention. He or she need to mention. Why? Because, take an example, a person elected as a MLA, but court give him as a punishment for 2 years or more than 2 years, then he will be disqualified. That is one of the disqualification. We have discussed in Parliament and state legislature. What are the disqualifications under RP Act 1951? Right? So any present legislature who got a punishment of 2 years or more than 2 years, he or she will be disqualified. So that is the reason why while filing the nomination only, that person has to disclose the information whether he involved in that particular case in which punishment is 2 years or more than 2 years. That is there. Okay. The next, Braille system. You know Braille system, blind people are there, right? Even blind people also can vote. For them they have introduced the Braille system. The next, restrictions on exit poll. You know exit poll? You have seen after the polling, in news also see, this is the exit poll, this candidate is going to win from this constituency, this candidate is going to win from this constituency, or this party will form the majority in this state, that party will form the majority in that state. You have seen that? Okay. That is speculations, exit poll, right? So, exit poll can be done by electronic media or print media, that is there. But time will be decided by the Election Commission of India. In that time only, either it is the electronic media or print media has to, do exit poll. Okay. Whenever they want, they can't. Time will be given by the Election Commission of India. Election Commission of India will decide the time for the broadcast of exit poll. At that time only they need to do. Otherwise, it is considered as an offence. Okay. The next, increase the security deposit. While filing the nomination, security deposit is also there. In case of president, 15,000. In case of vice president, 15,000. Right. So in the same way, for MP also and for MLA also, security deposit is there. How much for MP? Earlier it was 10,000, now it is 25,000. Now it is 25,000. At present, security deposit is 25,000. That is refundable. After the election has been declared, right? Then that candidate will receive the security deposit. If candidate doesn't secure 1/6 of the total vote, then his security deposit will be ceased to be operate. Understood? 100 votes are there. So how much is the 1/6 of 100? 17. If the candidate is unable to secure even the 17 vote, okay, out of 100, at that time that candidate security deposit will be not refundable. If he secure more than 1/6, he can get, whether it is a winner or loser, it doesn't matter. But he secure more than 1/6 of total vote, at that time candidate will receive the security deposit. So at MP level, security deposit is 25,000. For SC, ST, 12,500. For them 50% discount. It is to sort out the unnecessary people. Those who are not interested. If it is a free, everyone can file the nomination. Unnecessary, Election Commission of India work will be more. So those who are really interested, they will make the security deposit. Understood? For that purpose. At MP level, how much is the security deposit? 25,000 rupees. But 50% discount for SC and ST. For them, 12,500. For MLA, state level, MLA or MLC is there, right? For them it is 10,000. 10,000 is the security deposit and 50% discount for SC and ST. Understood? So this is about the security deposit. Then voting right. Any Indian citizen who are living abroad, not NRI, who are living abroad for the purpose of business or for the purpose of medication or for the purpose of what you call study, and his name is not in the electoral list. His name is not in the electoral list. At that time, no problem. He is having passport, right? He can show the passport at the polling booth. He can vote. If he doesn't have electoral roll also, no problem, right? Without electoral roll, we can't vote. Okay. So, but for what do you call Indian citizens who are living in abroad, they can show the passport and they can cast their vote at polling booth. Now, first let me finish, then you can ask.
Sir, how in one polling booth he can vote, right?
In his own polling booth. Understood? If you are living in abroad, your polling is Muthugada Haldi, and you are here. At that time, you need to go to your polling booth and vote, not other polling, your polling booth. Okay? Passport. If his name is also not registered in the electoral rolls, no problem. He is having passport, right? No voter ID, no electoral rolls, no problem. Passport is there, show passport and vote.
They not check.
RO will add this number also. Detail, they will add. Okay. So understood? Then next. Shall I continue?
Sir.
Yes. Another very important point. Okay. So that was the judgment of the Supreme Court. Actually, Patna High Court is there, right? Patna High Court given a judgment that, okay, if a person who is in custody or jail, if a person doesn't have a right to vote, he doesn't have a right to contest the election also. I already said a person who is in custody or jail, he doesn't have a right to vote. So Patna High Court made a judgment that a person who is in jail or a police custody, if he doesn't have a right to vote, then he doesn't have a right to contest the election also. But Supreme Court has overruled the judgment of Patna High Court. Supreme Court ruled that a person who is in jail or custody, he doesn't have a right to vote, but he has a right to contest the election. But he has a right to contest the election. वो खुद का वोट दे दे सकता है, पर एमएलए सीट के लिए खड़ा हो सकता है या एमपी सीट के लिए खड़ा हो सकता है. वो अधिकार है उसके पास. So that was the decision of Supreme Court. Okay. Then disqualification. Okay. So this is Lily Thomas case. This is Lily Thomas case. Okay. So before that you need to understand Section 8 of RP Act 1951. Section 8 of RP Act 1961. So what is that act? So that act says that if a legislature, either a MP, MLA or MLC, if a legislature has convicted in the court, convicted means court proven guilty and court has given the punishment also to that legislature. Okay, then that legislature has a right to appeal in the higher court. To appeal in the higher court. To appeal in the higher court, he is having 3 months of time. How many months of time? 3 months of time. That is Section 8 of RP Act 1951. Okay. But Supreme Court in Lily Thomas case has ruled that, okay, first of all, Supreme Court has rejected or deleted the Section 8 of RP Act 1951. And Supreme Court ruled that once a legislature convicted by the court, okay, he has a right to appeal. But once he convicted, immediately after the conviction, he has to disqualify. He has to disqualified as a MP, MLA or MLC. Immediately disqualification. Earlier he got 3 months of time, then he filed, the case will be pending in Supreme Court or High Court like that. But now there is no such thing. Once court convicted that legislature as a guilty, immediately that legislature has to be disqualified. Okay, so that is there. Apart from that, photos of candidate. Sometimes same name will be there, sometimes same surname is also there. To avoid that confusion, okay, Election Commission of India has introduced name of the candidate, photo of the candidate. Understood? Then symbol of the party candidate. Then belongs to recognized party, unrecognized party, like that. Understood? So that system were introduced. Then seizing limit on expenditure. As I mentioned earlier, whether it is a Lok Sabha constituency, MP constituency or MLA constituency, expenditure limit is there, right? Okay. So for big states are there, like Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, these are big states. For big state, for MP seat, total expenditure limit is 77 lakh rupees. 77 lakh rupees. That means a candidate who is contesting the MP election, he can incur the expenditure up to 77. Okay. If he incur the expenditure more than 77, what will happen? Nothing will happen. You need to inform to the ECI, that's all. Okay. But limit is there 77 lakh. And for small states, it is nearly 58.7 lakh. 58.7 lakh something is there. Okay, that is for small state, parliament level, MP. MLA, big states are there, right? For them it is 28 lakh rupees. 28 lakh for big state. For small state, 20 lakh. For small state, 20 lakh. But again recently 10% hike. 28 plus 10% of 28, add it. So 30.8 lakh. 30.8 lakh for MLA, big state. And 22 lakh for small state MLA.
Big in terms of population, right?
Population and area both. Okay. So this is about the seizing limit on expenditure. Next, cash donation lowered. Earlier, party donation, right? Even you can also donate to your favorite party. After 16, okay, in the year 2017, one finance bill passed. According to that finance bill, election donation in cash can be made, but for an amount of up to 2,000 rupees only. If you want to donate 10,000 rupees to your favorite political party, up to 2,000 cash. After 2,000, other mode of payment, either check, either GPay, either PhonePe, either DD, or either another form, that is electoral bonds. Electoral bonds, we will discuss. Electoral bonds, it is in current affair. Understood? So for donation to the political party also, limit has been given. Cash limit, it is up to 2,000. Above 2,000, other mode of payment. Okay. Earlier, big companies are there, right? They can donate to any political parties up to their 7.5% of the profit. Last 3 year average profit, you know how to take average. Last 3 year average profit. Out of those average profit, 7.5% of that amount can corporate give donation to the political party. But now there is no limit. They can give whole party profit also. Sorry, whole company profit also. Company can donate to the political party. Earlier there was a limit. Now there is no such limit. Electoral bonds. So what is electoral bond? Okay, in simple language I'll tell you. First of all, these bonds doesn't carry any interest. If any commerce students are there, then they might be the bonds. Types of bonds, what is bond? It is a debt instrument. Right? Bond carry interest rate also. That is called coupon rate. Right? Yielding of bond, all those things are there. But those bonds are totally different from this bond. Okay. I'll give you an example. Take an example. Anyone. Manjunath. Your favorite party? This much time you are taking here. Okay. Your favorite party is Jagat YSR, Jagat party. Okay, Jagat party. You want to donate 1 lakh rupees to the Jagat party. So what you will do, you can donate to your Jagat party by purchasing the electoral bond. Why? Because you want to donate 1 lakh rupees. Limit is only 2 lakh for cash. Sorry, 2000. Right? So how you can donate? You have 1 lakh. You will go to the SBI bank or any bank which is authorized by the central government. There you will tell to the bank that I have 1 lakh rupees. I want to donate this 1 lakh rupees to my YSR party. Please give me an electoral bond. So what bank will do? Bank will collect your KYC, ID proof and address proof, and form you need to there. Means in form you need to write from where you got 1 lakh rupees to which party you will give 1 lakh rupees. Once you submit the form, bank will give you bond. That bond is electoral bond. Once you receive that bond paper, it is in paper only. Give that paper to your party, YSR party. What YSR party will do? YSR party will deposit that bond in their account. In their account. Now understood? This is how electoral bond work. Cash means no transaction. Bond means transaction will be there. But don't worry, in that electoral bond, your name will not be there. So you are like an anonymous. Your party doesn't get to know whether you have given or not. Why? Because your name is not written. Understood? So those bonds are electoral bonds. Okay. And now, present time, even the foreign companies are there, the Amazon, Facebook, they can also donate to the political party. They can also donate to political parties. So these are the electoral reforms or election reforms. Now, hardly 5 minutes. Okay. So parties, as I said, so there are 2 types of party. Recognized party, unrecognized party. Understood? Recognized party and unrecognized party. Right? So here, who will recognize a political party? Election Commission of India. On what basis? Performance of that particular party in election. Right? In general election, not in by-election, in general election. Okay. So, based upon that recognition, there are 2 types of party. National party and state party. National party and state party. Any political party who is recognized as a national party, he need to certify the criteria. Certify the criteria. This criteria. Which political party can be recognized as a national party? What are the qualifications? Understood? Listen. Any political party which secure 6% of the total vote in election. 6% of total vote in election. Either it is a MP election or a MLA election. A party which secure total 6% of total valid votes. 6% of total valid votes. Either in the Lok Sabha election or Assembly election. That one condition. Plus that party secure the 4 Lok Sabha seat in any states. 4 Lok Sabha seat in any state. What is that first condition? That party must get at least 6% of total valid votes. Either in Lok Sabha election or Assembly election. Plus that party must secure 4 Lok Sabha seat in any state. Either 4 seat in one state or 2 seat in one state, 1 seat in another state, 1 seat in another state. Like that also can be. Understood? So condition is 6% of total votes plus 4 Lok Sabha seat. If any party which satisfy this condition, that party can be recognized as a national party. Okay, first condition. Then second, if not that condition, this condition will be applicable. What is it? If any party who win 2% of total number of Lok Sabha seat. You know total number of Lok Sabha seat, it is 545. What is the 2% of 545? 2% of 545. 5.45, 5.45. 10.90, that means 11. So any party which got 11 Lok Sabha seat in 3 states, which secure 11 Lok Sabha seat in the 3 states, not in any state, 3 state. From one state can be 11, understood? Or one state 5, another state 3, another state 3. Or one state 7, another state 3, another state 1. Like that. So any party which got the 11 Lok Sabha seat from 3 states, that party also can be recognized as a national party. Understood? If first condition not applied, second. If second condition also not qualified, then any party, any political party which is recognized as a state party, which is recognized as a state party in minimum 4 states, that party will be declared as a national party. That party will be declared as national party. At present, 8 national party are there. 8. INC, Indian National Congress, CPI, CPIM, BJP, BSP, NCP, you know NCP, National Congress Party, TMC, Trinamool Congress Party, and People's Front Party. People's Front Party. So these are the 8 national party at present. If another next time election conducted, it can be increased or it can be decreased. How? Based upon the performance in the elections. Understood? So these are the party which can be recognized as a national party. Or condition I said, not and. If this is not applicable, this. If this is not applicable, this. If this is also not satisfied, not get the national party status. Understood? The next state party, last. Okay, state party. मेरा भी ख्याल करो सर, आप लोग तो सुन रहे हैं, मैं तो पढ़ा रहा हूँ. Okay, so this is the last topic in today's class, that is state party. Okay, which party can recognize as a state party? Which party? Okay, any party which got 6% of total valid votes in assembly. 6% of total valid vote in assembly. Not like national party, either a Lok Sabha or assembly. No, here 6% of total valid votes of assembly plus 2 MLA seat. Plus 2 MLA seat. That party can be recognized as a state party. Second condition, any party which got 6% of total votes in assembly plus 1 Lok Sabha seat, that party can be recognized as a state party. Understood? Very simple. 6% plus 2 MLA, 6% plus 1 MP. Okay. If that is also not applicable, then any party which got at least 3% of total valid vote, 3% of total valid vote or 3 MLA seat, whichever is more. Either 3% of the total valid of vote or 3 MLA, whichever is more, then that party can be recognized as a state party. Understood? Take an example. If the total number of vote is 60, what is the 3% of 60? 1.8, 2 vote. At that time, that 3% will be not applicable. At that time, 3 MLA seat will be applicable. Understood? Then next condition, if total number of votes are 1 lakh. Under that, if that party got 4,000 vote, but only 2 MLA seat. At that time, percentage 3% will be applicable. Understood? Whichever is more. The next, any party which got 8% of total valid votes either in assembly or in Lok Sabha. Total valid votes in either in assembly or Lok Sabha. That party can be recognized as a state party. Simple, yaar. First condition, 6% plus 2 MLA, 6% plus 1 MLA, 3% or 3 MLA, whichever is more. 8%. 8% either in assembly or Lok Sabha. Last condition, what is that? A party which got 1 Lok Sabha seat for every 25 Lok Sabha seat. every 25 Lok Sabha seat. Take an example, if Karnataka is having 25 Lok Sabha seat, okay, 25 Lok Sabha seat, one of the party got the 1 Lok Sabha seat, that party is eligible for state party. Understood? So these are the criteria to be recognized a party as a national party or a state party. Understood? Everyone? But what is the use to be recognized as a state party or national party? Okay, what is the advantage? Advantage is that for recognized party, for filing the nomination, one elector is required. For filing the nomination, one elector, we discuss. Plus electoral roll is there, right? That will be given free of cost. Electoral roll is there, that will be given free of cost. Apart from that, symbol is there, the party symbol, that will be reserved. That will be reserved for that party only. It will not allow to other party. Understood? That is there. Plus party advertisement. Party is allowed to do their advertisement in the media. Either it is a print media or a electronic media. Print media means newspaper, magazine. Electronic media, news channels. Understood? So this is about election system in India. Hope you understood.